Okay, let's go through and start with the US dollar first. As we've been talking about, for the US dollar, we've been counting down as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here. This top on the 28th of September, roughly here, was pretty much the same time that gold bottomed out, and then we come into October, and in October this is where we find most of the indices and some commodities that anything that's outside of the US that's inflicted by the US dollar, those indices, Europe, Asia, so on, they were pushing up while this was pushing down from around this date. So this whole move down through here in the US dollar terms of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is impulsive. So we'll have some type of correction, then we'll move down again. So the DAX and Australian markets and so on, they've all pushed up from this point. So they're all topped out now. They're topping out and they're having their corrections. So it hadn't been really affecting US stocks or US indices, this particular little impulse wave to the upside. But it's starting to do that now. The first one that turned to the downside from this low here was Amazon, and then Apple slightly started to give 5 waves down, a bit difficult to see. Google's followed that, and the rest of them are sort of following in that step as well. So the question is do we have a simple ABC pattern here? And this took 4 or 5 days, and we've got a correction, so we could expect this to be 4 or 5 days, thereabouts, 3 to 5 days. Or do we get a bigger correction here? That's the question. I'm thinking that when I look at markets that for the SP500, we're going to look at a situation where we've got this situation occurring and this situation occurring. I'm thinking that we're going to be in this situation here as an ABC pattern here, and the reason for that is I see that in the euro, also in the gold market, which we'll have a quick look at as well, US spot gold. But at the same time, I'm not convinced on either of them at this particular time, because even though the ABC here looks quite small here, and I'm just really basing the length of the A wave, will have much the same for the C wave here. When we're seeing the gold market come down, it's come down quite strong, and the euros come down, and the pound, the cables come down, the Aussies come down. They look like the ABC pattern here would be suitable for them, but at the same time they could slow down and end up scrunching and fitting in a larger pattern as well. So we need to be a little bit cautious. We need to see how this affects the US indices, because this is a US indices video. But just to give you an idea, the direct reflection of the US dollar would be the euro dollar. So let's have a look at the euro dollar. So it's also got 5 waves up here, and we were looking for a top, and the DAX has been duplicating this as they do. It's the same with the Australian stock market, being duplicating the Aussie dollar to the upside, the same thing as well. Now in this case, we've known that we've had 5 waves down here. We've been talking about that. Now the B waves can be simple or they can be complex. They're a bit like wave 4s, so you've got to kind of allow them to mature to a point, but of course we can sell new lows, and what we would expect here is that the A wave here, and then some sort of C wave to the same length. This is the 50-60%. But what could also happen, that's just taking on board this smaller pattern here. So it kind of fits there, but we also need to be mindful that, well, what happens if we get 5 waves down here, then a corrective, rally 61.8% or something, and then another move down here, we get this here. So we could squeeze in this bigger pattern here. That's what I'm kind of thinking, But the important point to take away here is that with the US dollar here, right, this is a top here. We've got 5 waves down here. Now, that means I've just done it conservatively as wave A here, and you'll notice that I've got wave 1 here for the euro here. So it's probably likely this is wave 1 as well, but I don't want to freak people out, just want to go step by step. We do have 5 waves down here. That means we will have a correction and we will go down again. So that means that the euro will do the opposite. So that will have, we could look at this as an A wave if you wish, and then have a wave 2 here and then go to the upside here. Now, if that's going to do that, if that's how the game is going to be played out, well, then the DAX is going to do the same thing as well. It's also got 5 waves up here. And like I mentioned, any country outside of the US that's affected by trade with the US dollar strength or weakness will have this 5 wave pattern here. So the euro dollar's got this as the 5 wave pattern here. If we look at the DAX, let me just go to the daily chart here for a moment. So the daily chart here has got the same pattern to the upside here. So the people in the US won't see this unless they look outside, across the pond, So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up here. So the Australian market's got the same. Gold has got the same. There's many markets that have got this particular pattern here. Now, in this case, the DAX has finally made its top here because we were always going eeny, meeny, miny, mo for this wave 4 business here. But that's where that is. That's where that is. So in this case, it's just starting here. Now, it may have a tight, so here it's got a sort of fair way to travel because it's just turning now, one moves and then the next one kind of follows, and and then the whole crowd comes in on all of this, how it goes, just human nature, there'll be a table of food there and nobody touches it until the first person does, and then it's all gone, everybody follows in. So a bit like that. So we've got this situation occurring here for this. So that's that, and we've also got US spot gold. So US spot gold turned on the 28th of 26th, I think it was, whatever, same as the US dollar, and we've been looking for 5 waves up here. We've got the A, we've got the B. So an ABC suits here, doesn't it? That kind of is suitable, but it could turn into a much deeper pattern. It could be that we've got this as 1 and 2, and we come down for 3, 4, 5, because the 50-60% is not the end of everything. You know what I mean? It's just a guide stick. So we could get something like a bit larger like this, and that would be sort of suitable when you look at the DAX. It hasn't even started yet, I know our market has started a little while ago, and that's something else, but no, same sort of thing. So look, that's kind of the situation. We've either got the big pattern or we've got the small pattern. So just putting these back over here. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of other examples I can drag out, but the bottom line comes is, do we have this one or do we have that one? They're both kind of there's good possibilities for both of them. Okay, so we need to now try to figure out what that means for the S&P 500. Okay, so if we just remove these here, let me just do this. So we've got the S&P 500. Now the S&P 500 hasn't had the same move up as the DAX. So from these October lows here, this move here, this is how the rest of the world's been, not most of it, let's say. I mean, this, you can always prove me wrong, but with the S&P here, we ended up with we've ended up with a different situation here. We haven't got that nice smooth move up or that nice move down in the dollar here, So we've got it in like a 3-wave move. Now this is the bearish count here. So in this case, is it possible for this to move down here and have another low in here and then move up from that point? It's possible, but it will take a long time to do that. So I don't think that's the case. So we need to look at other variations on this. So what we'll do is I'm going to go to the 10,000 tick chart here, where I keep bullish. Alternative counts here. So it's a little bit sort of messy, but just sort of hang here for a while until I just sort of do a few things. So in this case, we can look at it as wave 1 here, and we can have wave 2 over here, and then we can have wave 1 up here. And we're looking at a lot of these markets. We can look at US banks like this as 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 here. So we can do that. That would pull down to here at that point. So that kind of giving us this move down. Now we haven't really come down here yet, but I can see from here, just this top here, we've got at least wave 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we could come down a little bit further in this. So we could come down here, and then have this and that. So that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 at that point. Would that just be wave 1 here, or are we going to put this down here and that goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here, and then an ABC over here? I mean, how laborious is how long is this going to play out here for? We'll get to that in a bit of a moment, but the first thing is we can have 1 and 2 and 1 and 2, and we're going to be looking at that situation. Okay, that's the first one. So that would just require a small correction in here. The other one was putting wave 2 over here and having a slightly deeper correction with an expanded flat here, with wave 1 here, an A and a B and a C wave over here for wave 2. So that would be the other count. So I'm thinking it's probably going to be one of these two at this point. This is what I can see, because we always have to go back to the situation of this move up through here, and there's this move here. The Dow Jones has got a nice sort of move up here based on the industrial sector, so there are those things. And there's also being on the bullish side of things, if I can just drag up this charting program here to have a look at some of the indices here, just to point out, we know we've got this is a market here, the iShares thing, that's already taken the top out here for this. It's possible that all of this, because the S&P is still down here, but this market has taken out the top here. The FTSE's taken the top out here. We could look at all of this as the A wave up here, the B wave here, and a C wave down here. We could do, we could look at it as a triangle pattern here, as an A, B, C, D, and E across it. But I don't think that's the case, because it's not going to line up with the rest of the world. So because it took the top out here, I feel like it's bullish at that point. So that's an important little thing to behold there, so to speak. Let's just go back again to this situation. So I think that we need to look at it as 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 here. So we can also look at the US banks like this too, I just calling this the Christmas run, so from these, from December lows here. So it's not the best looking 5-wave structure here for that, but when you start looking at other markets in their Christmas runs here, you can see the DAX here that we've been looking at as 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5. The Australian market is like this as well. We've been counting 5 waves up, struggling with the top a little bit, but it's been rolling over the last all of this week, mostly. So this is sort of where we are at this particular point. We've either got this one or this one here for this. So that's where I think we're at the moment. Right, so with that in mind, let us cruise in and have a look at this situation. So there's probably different ways to count all of this up, and I think I used this one yesterday as well, where we looked at this as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I know we've got sort of overlap here. I know that we can count this differently as well here, but I think it's okay for the time being at least. Okay, so our attention should be more on this. I mean, this needs to be resolved, of course, you know, just for the argument's sake. But so the thing is that we know the US dollar is going to be pushing up in this leg here, and that's going to, you know, create pressure for everything else, and we'll see how that sort of plays out. So this move here, we can look at this, it's just, you know, it's dropped through the 100. One's the strongest number, so it's going back to retest that. So I think we could take that down to probably down to the 50 here for wave 3 at minimum, and then wave 4 and wave 5 at you know, I'm being very conservative here. It could certainly stretch out further at this point. You know, this would be the 50-60% retracement level area here, roughly anyway. I have to recheck all of that, but this move down through here is not finished yet. So it's not finished at that point. So it depends how long wave 4 takes here. So just going back to the US dollar again, this move here took 1 day, 2 days, 3, 4, 5 days. I think that trades as a CFD, it trades on the futures market as well, so it could be 3 days here at least, you know, for that. So that would make wave B is finished here. If we have a closer look at this particular pattern, I think that's sort of worthy as well at this particular point in time. So just on the 2K tick chart here, we've been counting it up, and we called that little top in there, and I wasn't sure about the B wave at this stage when we were down here with this, because B waves are like wave 4s. They could be simple or they could be complex, so I always prefer just to have a bit of patience and wait for them to unfold rather than getting all frustrated and flustered and so on. But this is one way to count it as an A wave, an ABC for the B wave and down for the C wave. So basically at this point what we're looking for here is we're looking up for wave 1 here in this case, and 2 here. So this here, just to get our timing right, and I know folks probably don't trade this, and that's fine, but we're just using it as a guide stick. So that's the length of wave A here, and that's the length of wave C. Now, if it is an A and a B and a C, one of the things that we'll notice here is that this here is that's the speed of that. That's how, you know, that's the angle that went up here. So this is the angle here. Now, if this is going to be, because we've got to kind of also consider that this can be a wave 3 up here, you know, of a bigger pattern, you know, we've got to take that on board. So what we'll do is we'll watch this here. If it's lazy, then we'll know it's a wave C. So we should put wave C over here, and then wave 3 over here. If it's fast, if it's equal to or faster moving up, then we'll have to look at it as a wave 3. So as it moves up, we'll, you know, shoot the breeze about it and discuss it and look at where other markets are and all the rest of it. But we know we've got 3 days up here minimum. And it's not that the S&P has to reflect this exactly. It doesn't need to do that, but the euro will, and then the DAX will be based off the euro, and then anything outside of the US will be. So we can look at those other markets around the world and get some sort of feeling for it all, you know. So we'll see where we go with this, the whoops a daisy. So just the speed of this, that will help us a little bit as well, you know, a bit of thing here. So the other point is, can I be totally wrong about all of this and we go straight up from here with the S&P? If that was going to be the case, then we need to go long above here, okay? And then that settles that argument. So anything in between that, you would want to be a little bit careful, okay? Because we could put the, you know, we could do something like this here with an ABC pattern here of smaller degree and then go up again from that point. So that's possible. It's possible for this to all extend down here much further as well, as I've mentioned. You know, this here could just be wave 1 here, this could be 2 here, and this could be wave 3 here, and 4 and 5, and we go down you know, it would go down deeper at that point, you know. So this could be, you know, coming down here for wave 3 here, and we get wave 1 over here for a bigger picture. Anyway, we just got to kind of see how that plays out with all of this, you know. That's that. So I think that we've talked about it all. If I'm totally wrong, you can go long at this point, and there'll probably be a second high if this wave, if there's going to be another little hump in here, then you could bring it down to the next one. So we'd bring it from the top here, and then we bring it down to the next one, and then we bring it down to the next one. You can bring it down to the next one. Don't get too close because you get burnt. But we need to kind of bring the structure into it as well. So this is where we are. Yeah. So the other markets will be, I don't need to rinse and repeat the whole scenario again. In this case here, we'll just start by looking at the A, the B, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here. So the third wave could extend down further down here. This could all just be a little wave 1 and 2 and 3, 4, 5. There's a few things that can go on here with all of this. If you're going to short this here, you kind of need to wait for some reasonable little kickback here, and then look at that low to short at that point. So this is the NASDAQ, obviously, sort of over here. It's bullish count, but it's still the what's the name of it. So from the Christmas run, counting, it's kind of interesting. I've used this low here, and the reason that I've done that for, if I can just have a look at the tech sector for a moment. Where's that? Here it is. So just here, because what I was noticing on the tech sector, just bring in some more data, a bit overkill, but you see this low here on the tech sector. You see how it's much lower than this one here. So I was thinking, okay, then that's kind of interesting, you know. So then I thought, well, could I actually do that here? And then I think to myself, well, I am splitting hairs here a little bit, you know what I mean? So, and it's not like we got the best 5-wave structure up here either, you know. You know, could I look at this differently as well? Of course I can. You know, I could look at probably wave 1 here with 1, 2, 3 and some sort of 4 in here, and then 5 here, and that would be 2, and that would be 3, and this would be 4 over here. You know, that's also possible as well. But I have to go with the rest of the world, so I'm going to sort of go with the rest of the world in that particular instance, and we're going to look for a deeper correction here for the NASDAQ. But at the same time, too, is that we can go long above here. But, you know, if you have a look at the stock video, you know, with Amazon is the first one to roll over, and then yesterday we counted 5 waves on Apple rolling over as well. And not that Apple's going to move far from 150, but I mean it's going to go below that. But you know, and then Google's fallen out of bed today, and you know, so they've started now. So we weren't too far off getting everything sort of in order. I was a little bit confused yesterday on things, as I mentioned, and it's good to say that, you know, I try to let you know, I try to be as honest as I can with myself, so that reflects, so you've got some idea to read between the lines and see who I am and what I'm doing and so on. So with the Russell yesterday, we also counted 5 waves down here. Now, I have changed it to 1 degree higher. So I had this one over here, and I had the little blue ones in here. So I've lifted it up 1 degree, but I haven't changed anything. So we had wave 1 in here, and we're looking for 1 and 2 and 3, 4 here. And then we're looking for some sort of ABC correction in here. But we can see here now we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here, and here for 2, there were our little target areas. We don't need those. And yeah, so look, it might not take that long, you know. I mean, wave 4 could be kind of time consuming and so on, and we'll see how wave 5 goes, and we could end up down here at the 1850. I mean, normally I look at wave 3 and 4 dancing across, you know, the closest largest number, so we could look at it like that. So, you know, might not be too long of a wait, you know. But I think that's a nice picture, you know. That's a bit of a picture between bit like, I mean, I don't know all the constituents in the Russell, but you know, it's what this is the kind of thing I'm looking at with Amazon Apple. Now Amazon is stretched down further, and Apple is tight to the core, and different sort of pattern, but same but different. So that's the Russell, and the DJ here. So we've got the industrials. I think one of the interesting things here too is that, I mean, because with the Dow here, we counted up as 5 waves, and we're looking as wave 1. We can go an A wave here, then an A, B, C for the B wave, and down for the C wave here for wave 2. That's possible. Or we can put this wave 1 where this little, from the Christmas run here, we can put that wave 1 where wave C is and have this as wave 2 here, which kind of looks a little bit odd, but I kind of like it. And one of the reasons that I like it a bit is that when I look at the actual sector here, the what is the XLI here, is that this was a bit like those other indices for iShares that we looked at as well, because they had taken out the top, well, they'd taken out this top. But this one here is taken out. We've counted 5 waves up here, right? But it's taken out this top and this top, you know. I mean, this one here, this move down here, in most cases counted as 3 waves. So it's a bit difficult to put wave 2 here. So wave 2 is probably better over here for this, but I haven't really sort of focused on it a lot, which would leave this up here as wave 1 and 2 here as well. Now, I don't know if that's the case. I haven't pulled it apart, but I'm just showing you this for the simple reason that it's taken this top out of, we've counted 5 waves up here and it's taken the top out. So that kind of like just takes the edge off bearish counts to a point, you know. Doesn't solve everything, but it can give this a wave 1 and 2 at this point. But we've still got at least 2 days to come down for these. So look, it certainly could fall out of bed and come down here. Obviously, there's good support at 33,000 here for this. But yeah, it hasn't really made a new high above here, as we were kind of maybe looking, hoping, wishing, all of that kind of stuff, but it just didn't do it. So we were aware of that, and yeah, you know, it was one of the strongest in the pack coming to the upside, but then it just stalled and done nothing. And we noted that you know, waiting for the rest, or pretty much waiting for the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ, you know, and all those tech stocks to get off their lazy asses and make a move to the upside, and they've started to do that, you know. But these other ones, and you know, European markets, anybody doing business with China was booming basically, you know, even though there was no business being done, they were all still wiping their noses from COVID, you know. But that will pass, and we know that the the Chinese market is strong here, which is this one here, and I'll just put it on the monthly chart here. This is the compositive index here, if it's going to come through. Why isn't that coming through? There it finally comes through. So, you know, this is, you know, there's other markets like this as well. I mean, copper's been like this, you know, the Russian market's been a bit like this, but it's fallen out of bed a bit. But this is held up nicely, and on the monthly chart it makes a nice triangle, you know. So the emerging markets are also making a move to the upside as well. And when I look at the, you know, I look at the A50s here for this. So China's A50 here. So from the low here, I can count this up in different ways, but the main point here is a daily chart, and it's been bearish, and we can count it up in different ways here. It doesn't really matter which way you want to count. We could at the minimum, you could count it like this, right? That's at minimum. And the thing here is that even if you counted it like this, at minimum, there's 5 waves there. So it's bullish. So we could have an ABC and then go up again. In one way or another, we could look at this in different ways, and, you know, and it's just going up further. That's all it is. You know, we can look at it, you can count it until the cows come home, you know, but in different ways. But because it's got 5 waves, it's an impulse trend. It's not a corrective pattern at this particular point in time. So I suppose you could look at it that. You could go an ABC for the A wave and then the B wave and then the C wave. But the C wave is very strong, you know what I mean? You'd expect a weaker C wave at that particular point in time. So anyway, we'll see how the cookie crumbles on that. But yeah, so that little impulse wave I showed you is just really sort of starting off in here, you know, that's the point of showing you that, and this bigger pattern here. So eventually this will take out the tops here. So I see bullish markets. It's just a matter of getting the timing right. Isn't that always the case? So yeah, so alrighty, well that's it. That's my 2 cents worth. So thanks for tuning in, and enjoy the weekend. Cheers.